good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a demonstration on slab rolling, coil making, introduction to slip and scoring, all for the Clay Word project. And you can see my example here. I'm sure you guys are tired of it by now, and I'm sure yours will be better than mine. But the name of the game is make it sturdy and have good variety. Okay, so guys, the first thing you're going to need is actually canvas. All right, the canvas is going to keep your clay from sticking to the table. And it's just a nice workspace. Also, it'll help the table from not getting so dirty so that you don't have to clean up so much. Now, folks, this is pre-processed clay. There are no air bubbles in this, all right? So, basically when you use a string, of some sort to cut into it, they call it a wire. Now, my actual wire is missing, so I'm just making do with a piece of plastic string. It works, but not that well. And I imagine you guys are going to get a piece of clay about this size, okay? I would pull off some of it for your words because you want your words to be raised in relief. A note about, about keeping your clay dry. Excuse me, not dry, wet. Guys, if you're not using it, wrap it. Stop. Wrap it in plastic and put it on the side. Over the course of 3 days, if you don't wrap it, you don't be mindful of it, it's just going to dry out and it's going to be really crummy to work with. And as I mentioned before, you're going to have to re-wedge clay. All right? Hey, on that note, let me introduce you to, this is the slip bucket. It is kind of in the process of being made still because it's a little too wet, all right? But, ladies and gentlemen, who knows what slip is used for? Chance?
We use it to, cover the clay thing.
Well, so it can be used to cover clay. Yeah,
Should hold the clay together.
there you go. Guys,
It's like clay glue.
Clay glue.
slip is very wet clay that is used like a glue to help two pieces of clay stick together. Ladies and gentlemen, each of these pieces here have been not just slipped together. You score it with a fork, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. And then put a little bit of slip on there. If you don't do that, it dries out, falls apart. So, in any case, ladies and gentlemen, where are my rolling pins? Stay right there.
She wasn't moving.
Okay, so this is perfect because, guys, these rolling pins looks like were not cleaned off very well from the time before. Guys, you want your tools to be clean, preferably dry, but at least clean. So I'm gonna take this, and ideally I would go over to the trash and do this rather than in the bin. But for the sake of demonstration purposes, I'm gonna do this. Take a wood tool, all right, and scrape off your bits and all that, because those little bits are going to leave imprints in your slab, okay, and you don't want that, all right? So get it nice and good and clean. If it is still kind of wet from the period before, just take some dusty clay and go like that. Oh, yeah, middle school. Okay, so folks, you can begin, depends on what shape you want for your piece. If you want it to be nice and long, then you're gonna do what I'm gonna do in just a moment. If you want it to be like pancake style, you just have to figure it out. So I'm gonna actually stretch it out a little bit. So I'm kind of throwing it down. You can also kind of pound it out like this. But notice I'm flipping it over as I go, okay? So, guys, if you don't flip it over, it basically gets really, it stretches the clay out, makes it weak, and that's when pieces start falling apart, okay? So, always work from the center out, okay? You don't want to go from one side to the next because that's not good either. Now, guys, a little more than 1/4 inch is ideal. When in doubt, you want to just keep it thick. So if you're like, I got about 1/2 inch, okay, that's great. But if you get less than 1/4 inch, that's when things really start to get kind of, okay? So when you roll out your slab, guys, start from the middle and gently push out. You can go the other way too, like so. I'm going to cut this with a fettling knife. Guys, I've had a lot of practice, so this is really nice and consistent. See that? All right. But what happens sometimes is students push the same amount in the middle as in the end. And let me demonstrate this real quick. It'll get really thin on the edges or in one spot, and you want it nice and even, gentlemen. So, guys, your clay bits, again, I would squeeze them together. You want to try to not trap air in it, guys. So notice I'm not just going slam, all right? I'm just I'm picking a spot and I'm kind of squeezing air bubbles out of it. Because, guys, what's going to happen if you have a big air bubble in your piece and it goes in the kiln? Say it.
It'll crack.
Explode.
Yeah, guys, the air heats up to the point where it's just like, and if it can't escape, fast enough, it actually will blow the clay, all right? It's not like an explosion, like, it's just kind of like, and then you're like, oh, 4 days of work, just gone, all right? So be mindful of that. I'll do everything on my end to save it, okay? Now, guys, you've seen how to roll out a slab, and basically, I want to give it some kind of unique shape, so I don't know. I'm just going to do this for right now. Right. What I'm thinking about at the moment is that I don't know, it reminds me of a shield. It kind of reminds me of speech bubble. All right. Now, guys, you might be able to just start using some of your slabs right away. And all you want to do is place them at first. So I'm just going to do a C with that. But a really good technique is to create coils, all right? With a coil, basically, you want to get the air out. You want to take a piece of clay, gently roll it, just like a worm. I don't know if you generally roll worms, or a night crawler, and figure out, what size is good for you, all right? Guys, this is probably a good size right here, but if you want to go thinner, that's fine. You just have to make sure you score and slip your pieces down, all right? All right. Guys, this is another reason why you really want to kind of work quickly and have a plan, because when it gets this thin, it dries out super fast, okay? So you can do it, but you don't want to keep handling it and doing it and doing it and doing it. All right, I think I'll just leave that like that.
Are you spelling Carson?
Maybe. I don't know. So here's the other scoop. And this is really important. Guys, you know what slip is at this point, but you need to know what scoring is. Now, scoring is when you scratch the surface of the clay, and you're going to scratch it in a crosshatch approach, okay? Not too deep, not too light. You want to rough it up a little bit. And, ladies and gentlemen, you'll then take your clay, or your slip, and the first thing you do, is you just kind of get an idea where that's going to land, all right? We have needle tools. Guys, if you get pricked with this, give it to me so we can wash it, sterilize it, because I don't want anybody getting pricked and then passing your blood on to somebody else. Okay? Seriously. Accidents happen, but it's important. Guys, you can use the fork for the bigger stuff, All right, but you know, for the like smaller things, you want to that need some attention to detail. Don't scratch too hard because you don't want to put air bubbles in there. All right, whistle while you work, kind of thing, and then you're ready to go. Guys, too much slip and it just becomes a nightmare. It's just like not good. And notice how I'm pressing down and pressing the air out. I don't want to trap air. And you can now use, if you want to clean things up, you can take these wood tools. All right, and you can clean them up, get rid of those, you know, scratch marks, those score marks, okay? And then go from there. Hey, one thing I want to mention is that, guys, you really want to plan for how it's going to hang on a wall or stand up on its own. I mean, that is a requirement of this. So you have some options. You could take a coil, and you could just say, okay, I'm gonna score this to the back. You know, pretend I just scored that. Okay. You zoom in on this. And guys, you know, you might score it and slip it, and then like there's something that the nail can hang on. Maybe you want to put it right there. Or you might want to decide to do something like, well, one of the easiest ways, if you have this thick, you could put a slit just like halfway through, and then you could take your wooden rib tool, all right, and you're gonna have to basically create a spot where like a nail could hang, okay? So this works, but I don't think it's the best way, all right? You could also take another piece of clay, like a slab, I'll show the slab, and fold it over like so. Again, and then score and slip it so that it holds on to, you know, a nail on the wall. And I'm talking about a nail with a head on it, guys. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of a wrestling practice or wrestling experience sometimes because you're like, you wanted to do it and it's too soft or too hard. So tomorrow we will begin. All right. It's going to be really great, and it's going to be really fun. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been awesome. Will you please, on the count of 3, just yell out any word? 1, 2, 3.
Fish.
These nuts.
Thank you. All right, let's go.